Okay, I want to talk about the origin of the Jews. It is talked about in Manetho. I talk about this on my blog, but it's also talked about in Diodorus Siculus's Library of History. And it's said that they came from Danaus. So I'm going to read a little bit here. They also say that those who set forth with Danaus, likewise from Egypt, settled what is practically the oldest city of Greece, Argos, and that the nation of the Colchi in Pontus and that of the Jews, which lies between Arabia and Syria, were founded as colonies by certain immigrants from their country. And this is the reason why it is a long established institution among these two peoples to circumcise their male children, the custom having been brought over from Egypt. Even the Athenians, they say, are colonists from Sai in Egypt, and they undertake to offer proofs of such a relationship. For the Athenians are the only Greeks who called their city Asti, a name brought over from the city Asti in Egypt. Furthermore, their body politics had the same classification and division of the people as is found in Egypt, where the citizens have been divided into three orders. The first Athenian class consisted of the Eupatrids, as they were called, being those who were such as had received the best education and were held worthy of the highest honor, as it is the case with the priests of Egypt. The second was that of the Geomori, who were expected to possess arms to serve in defense of the state, like those in Egypt, who are known as husbandmen and supply the warriors. And the last class was reckoned to be that of the demiurgoi, who practice the mechanical arts and render only the most menial services to the state. The class among the Egyptians having a similar function. Okay, so it's also talked about in Manetho. I cover that in my blog, that the Jews, or actually to be more precise, Semites, come from Danaus. Now, Danaus was a twin brother of Egyptius, the son of Acheroy and Belus. They were kings of Egypt. And the myth of Danaus is the founding legend of Argos, one of the Mycenaean cities. So the tribe of Danaus, or the Argives, were the ones that were the opposers to the Trojans and drove the Trojans out. And if you get into a little bit more of this study, you'll find that the Trojans were driven out, and Aeneas was a Trojan prince who ended up going to Italy and settling there. And then some of his ancestors, or our descendants, excuse me, went up into Britain. But getting back to Danaus, now Danaus had 50 daughters called the Danides, and they were supposed to marry the 50 sons of his brother Egyptius, and they had agreed to this. But when it was time for this to come due, Danaus didn't like that, and so he had his daughters swear to murder their husbands on their wedding night, and all but one did. Some versions of the mythologies, there might have been two or three that didn't go along with this, but the ones that didn't survived, and the son went out and killed Danaus. That would be Lynceus, and then they started the Argive Dynasty, and from that came Perseus, and then Heracles. Perseus would be the person known for killing the Gorgons. So Perseus came from Zeus and Danae, who was a daughter of Eurytus and Acrisius, which, like I said, came from the survivors of the murdered sons of Egyptus and the one daughter from Danaus. Now the other daughters that didn't go along with it, they left and found husbands in other places. But that is where the Semites come from, and you'll find out that Heracles, eventually came from this line, and him and Perseus. Well, Perseus went after the Gorgons. Perseus was said to be kind of cowardly. He had to prove himself, but he killed one of these Gorgons while she was sleeping, and Heracles waged war against the Amazon women. But so basically, this is the Semite line that has a thing out for women, and wants to basically make sure they have no physical power or any kind of warrior capability. But this is the Semite tribe, not Ashkenazi. And from Semites come Arabs and Sephardic Jews. That's where it comes from. Now, I also want to mention that this Heracles was a pederast, and that's a practice that seems to stick with the Semites over there, or in that area. But Hylas was one of the famous boys that he took and made his escape. And I'm showing you the picture, this painting by John William Waterhouse called Hylas and the Nymphs. But basically, either way, it went in the ancient world, and this disgusting practice, was supposed to be normal back then. That's about it.